Welcome to Surfside Stories. Today in the studio, we have a sound man extraordinaire. That's today. He's also got a history in music. And you know what? I don't know what your history is, Tim. And neither do the people out here. So that's what we want to hear. How did you get started in music? Was it singing or instruments or sound, or where did you start? And bring us your life up to the music industry, brother. Looking forward to this.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you having me. And so I guess it started, my uncles and cousins, my family was very musical, and they had a band that they played locally. And I remember I was 6 or 7 years old going out and listening to them practice in a garage. And one of those gentlemen eventually stopped playing drums for the band that he was playing with, and he was the sound guy for Samuel Banyan for a few years.
Okay.
And so that's from the time I was 6 or 7 years old, I was exposed to music. And
Now, where were you at this time? Where were you living?
We were in North Carolina, right outside, right there at the Wayne County, Johnson County line.
Know where that is?
Near Bentonville. And they would play, the local festivals and different places and birthday parties, and I would go as much as I could to see them. And then when I was in the third grade, my mama signed me up for piano. And I took piano from the third to the sixth grade. And then I got into band, and I learned how to read music at that point, between the piano and band. Learned to play a couple different instruments, and then
what did you play in the band?
I started playing trumpet.
Okay.
And I played trumpet, trombone, flugelhorn in the band.
Wow, okay.
And played through high school, and then left that. And when I was in high school, I was in Fayetteville, North Carolina one night. I was at a convention, and the Embers were playing. And I was watching them unload, and one of their guys stepped off the back of the truck, and his knee bent away it wasn't supposed to bend.
Oh, okay.
And they needed some help. Well, I was, I had grew up on farms. I was used to work, and he asked me if I could push some cases, and I said, well, yes, sir, I can. And so I was 17 years old. So I helped them that night. And then I would, anytime they were close by, I would go and help them set up and break down. So I kind of learned that side of it. I had never really paid that much attention to that side of it, but learned that side of it.
So you were learning road crew work.
Yes, sir.
There, okay.
I was
with the Embers.
Learning how to push cases. And so I did that, while I was in high school. Anytime they were close by, I would go volunteer to help out, and got out of high school, went to college for a couple of years, and that didn't quite work out, and got out of music for a while, but always had a love of music. Started picking up different instruments, self-taught, very little bit of guitar, very little bit of bass. My uncle was a drummer, so started picking up on drums a little bit, just know enough to get myself in trouble as far as musically, but come to understand how the instruments work. And in my opinion,
and what do you mean by that?
Well, in my opinion, if you understand that the way you play a guitar, then you can make it sound better out front.
Okay.
And so I watched Steve Davis and Bob Blair.
Yep.
I would go and I would help them load in, and then I would stand behind the sound guy and I would watch him, and I would watch what he did, and I would listen to the differences that it make. And every now and then I'd ask a random question, and that's where I really learned. Those two gentlemen, and later
two good
on,
places to learn.
Well, later on, Eddie Coggle, who just recently passed away.
Yes.
He became a friend, and he would go especially after he got sick. When we were playing anywhere close to done with Jim Quick and Coastline, he would come out and he would sit. He'd get him a chair and he'd sit out there while I was setting up, and he would teach me about the business, about sound. He would spend 3 hours while I was setting up and everything, and he would work with me on everything, and he taught me a lot too. He is, he's going to be missed. He was a super great guy, and I'm going to miss him every day. We texted a lot, and we talked, and it's going to be hard to replace.
I could take Bob and Steve and Eddie and you, we'll call you the Four Horsemen.
Well, but anyway, fast forward about 20 years that I was completely out of music and got to travel the world and got to see some different things. I worked with a couple of large corporations and then did some overseas work with military.
You want to elaborate on that?
Well, let's just say I've been to Iraq 5 times and Afghanistan once.
Okay.
And
enough said.
that was an interesting trip.
I can imagine.
But I did. It was funny. I got to see Europe. I got to see England, Germany, France.
Yeah.
Flew in and out of Dubai several times, which is the craziest place I've ever been on earth. I mean, you're walking through the Dubai airport and you look up at the wall and they've got those little airport clocks.
Oh yeah.
But the ones in the Dubai airport are Rolex.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's the most opulent place I've ever been in the world.
Oh Lord.
But come back home and basically kind of just retired. And that's when Cog got sick and I helped Band of Oz, Keith and David for a little while.
Okay.
And then after that, just went home and
tell me briefly, you said a couple of the large companies you worked for. Tell us a little bit about who you worked for along the way.
Well, after I got back from overseas, I worked with Krispy Kreme. I was the field safety director.
Good place to work.
Yes,
field
sir.
Safety.
I did field safety for Krispy Kreme Donut Corporation. Had 147 locations in 27 states at that time.
A lot of travel.
Lot of travel.
Like traveling with the band, didn't it?
It was actually, it was worse because I was always gone. But and it was funny because as a corporate office, we they had fresh donuts delivered every day to the corporate office, and if you were there past 3:30, 4 o'clock, whatever was left you could take home. So when my kids were in high school, they got fresh donuts every day to the point that they probably don't even eat Krispy Kreme anymore. But I would bring home donuts, and at first it was, oh great, Dad's got donuts, and after a while it was like they would just sit on the counter because everybody was tired of donuts. But
I can't imagine ever getting tired of Krispy Kreme.
They are wonderful donuts. But left there after they had some restructuring, and I was at home and I was just kind of doing my own thing, and went to see Jim and them, and found out that they were going to be looking for somebody soon. So I said, I'm interested. I grew up on a farm, so I'm used to work.
Yeah.
Jim said, well, how are you? I said, I'm willing to learn anything anybody's willing to teach me. I said, and I've spent a lot of time with Steve Davis and Bob. And at that point, I hadn't even met Cog yet.
Yeah.
And I said, but what I can tell you is I'll work as hard as I can for you. And they didn't know me from Adam's House Cat, but they gave me the opportunity.
Now, how did you just run into them, or did you approach them?
They were actually playing somewhere, and I went to ask them about, because I had heard they were going to be looking for a job for somebody, and I just went and I said, look, I'm here, and I said, I'll work as hard as I can for you. And, they, like I said, they didn't know me at all, didn't know anything about me, but they gave me the opportunity. And that is one of the reasons that every day I go out and I do give 110% because I try to repay them every day for the decision they made back then. Yeah. And now we're working on, this is our 5th year. And I have been blessed enough, thank you for everybody, but I've been blessed enough that I was been nominated 3 times for a Cammy, and actually won last year for live production. And
awesome. Very well deserved, brother.
Try my best every day to make sure that everybody has something they can enjoy. And spend a lot of time now, working on gear and making sure everything is as smooth as it can possibly be.
Oh, that's good.
But it's been, like I said, after I play, I think it's up to 8 or 9 different instruments now, but don't play any of them well enough to perform.
Yeah.
But between that and
I understand that concept.
just like everybody else in music, it started in the church.
Yeah.
I started singing with the church, and strikingly enough, at 13, I had this voice. So at 13, 14 years old, I went from singing tenor to singing bass, and sang with a church group for a while, and then eventually started singing. I told you my family was very musical. Well, after a few years, they all got to the point they didn't want to go out and perform anymore publicly. And so we had a karaoke nights on Friday nights.
Okay.
And we would all get together and sing. And that's where I spent most of my time with my uncles that had been doing it for 20 or 30 years, teaching me how to present it and how to make it sound better.
Well, I've noticed it several times out around North Myrtle Beach. I've seen you up and grab a microphone and do a song, and you've got a great voice. I mean, and you got a great presentation. I figured somewhere there had to be some training in that.
Yeah, well, it was all family training. It wasn't anything formal.
Well, that can be good too. I mean, a lot of family members. It sounds like you had some really good family members to learn from.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was very blessed. My mom, it's kind of like the Alan Jackson song. She worries now because she never thought I'd really take it this far.
Oh, yeah.
And but I've been blessed. My family has supported me 110% in everything I've ever done. And my mom, I remember she couldn't come last year to the Cammys.
Yeah.
But I called her and she said, I had no doubt. She said, when you were a Boy Scout, she said, you got your eagle. She said, when you were in 4-H, you went to nationals. She said, anything you've ever done, she said, you've always excelled in it. She said, and I knew sooner or later you would excel in this too. And I was like, well, this one took a little longer than the rest of them did.
But this speak will take a little longer. When about did you really get into the sound end of it?
Well, like I said, I had been doing it. I was in high school. And then from the time I started college, I would go to my uncle's bands and I would watch and I would listen. And I went to a couple of seminars. The companies like Yamaha puts on these seminars. I would go to them.
Oh, okay.
And whenever
you had formal training then.
I had just a little bit. They were like a weekend of seminar, but it was good for me because it gave me the basics. And there again, like if you know how the instrument works, you know how to manipulate it on the board to get as much as you can out of it.
I've never thought of it in that manner. But yeah, I can. That's a great approach. When did you start with Jim?
This is my 5th year with Jim Quick Coastline.
Okay.
So this is like I said, I started 5 years ago. First year I had been with him about 5 or 6 months when the Cammy nominations came out. So nobody knew who I was at that point. But luckily, the next year, we started working on it and I got a nomination that year and I've been nominated every year since and won it last year. So this is my first.
Congratulations on that.
But it is, I was very blessed with the band that I work with. Jim doesn't self-promote at all. He won't even play his music on his radio show. But when you work with musicians of caliber as Jim Quick Coastline, it makes my job a lot easier.
And you got the Coastline Crazies out there doing the promoting.
They are awesome. Our fans are second to none.
They are great. They are.
We have played in 100-degree weather, and we have played. I remember one night we played Carolina Beach, and there was a nor'easter, and it was about 30 degrees, and we still had a crowd. And they stood right out there and shivered with all of us, and we did the show.
But over the years, I've done a little sound myself from time to time. Tell me, what do you think is the hardest part of putting together sound for a group like Jim Quick? And what's the easiest part also?
To me, the hardest part is playing to the room, making room. And you understand the concept. Yes. You've got 4, 5, 6, 8 different instruments. They have to be placed so that you have room for the vocals and everything else to come through. To me, the hardest part is making sure that it doesn't matter whether it's a voice or whether it's a drum or keys or whatever. You want to hear everything that's being performed on the stage. But you want to hear it kind of at the same levels.
You got to blend it.
You have to blend it. That's where your mix comes in. And setting that mix, because you know as well as I do, every room is different. Everywhere you play is different. And even if you play the same room, just changes in temperature or changes in the weather can affect the sound in that room.
Yeah.
So you have to, and that's one of the things I do is before they get there, I'll dial in as close as I can. And then whenever they're up there getting their stuff set, I'll do my final mix. And I've had a couple of people come up to me and it's, from first note to last note, you're spot on. And,
That's back to that perfection that you're used to working for.
Yes, sir. And we have a lot of clubs. Well, when do you guys do sound check?
Yeah.
We don't do a sound check. What do you mean you don't do a sound check? I said, we don't do a sound check. We go live. I said, really? And I heard Jim one night make the comment. He said, somebody come up and said, well, y'all going to do a sound check? And Jim said, if I need to do a sound check, I need a new sound guy. That's about, thanks for the vote of confidence, boss.
I love it. That's awesome. But now, come back a minute. Whenever you were in the church, I'm interested that you started out in the church doing,
yes, sir.
And at 12, 13, you had the bass voice already. Were you in like a quartet or choir or
it
what?
Was actually an ensemble. There was about eight singers, and it was 8 singers.
Mixed,
piano,
male and female.
Mixed, male and female. Yeah.
Okay. And how long did y'all work together?
We were together probably 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
who led you in learning the harmony there? Because that's
we had a very, very special young man. Back then, he's still the music director at my home church.
Oh, really?
His name is Jeff Oglesby, and he would help blend the harmonies. He was in a trio, and they expanded out to do the ensemble, and we actually would travel around to different churches and sing.
Well, do you feel like having that training and getting harmony helps in getting the blend that you need?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I spend a lot of time. One of the things a lot of people probably don't know about is I love acapella. Acapella is a completely different animal because there's nowhere to hide. Yes. All you have is voices. You don't have a track or you don't have any instruments or anything to hide behind. Yep. If you've got a bad note, you hear it. And so I appreciate acapella. I appreciate even to the point of barbershop, just the harmonies. So I listen to that a lot, and that helps me, with my vocal blends as well.
Oh, that is awesome. Did not realize that. I'm an acapella fan too, but that is super. Well, let's go back here a minute now. Once you got through the churches, did you do any singing again after that before you went off to work in the world?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. Like I said, we, later in life, my family would get together and we would all sing, but nothing on stage anywhere. I was doing more of the technical side at that point. I had transitioned, worked at Wayne Community College for a little while, and had the opportunity to work with like the Shakespeare Festival and different performing arts that came in.
That could be good training too.
It was interesting, and it taught me how to adapt and overcome. I remember one night the Shakespeare Festival was playing at Wayne Community, and there was a thunderstorm, and lightning struck the theater that they were going to play in, and completely blew up all the dimmer packs for the lights. And so the director had the wonderful idea of doing like a scaffold set outdoors and performing like they did at the theater and around. He was going to do Shakespeare's Festival and do it on scaffolding outside. And so I ran around to every Home Depot and Lowe's and every place I could find and bought tiki torches.
Oh, really?
And that's the way we lit it. It was completely a throwback to the way
that was unique. Performed.
And it was great. They all loved it. But it was too much for them to pack up and carry with them on the road. So went back to theater performing. But that was, it taught me, because working in a theater like that, you work with any kind of acts, anything from local talent shows to nationally touring. So I got to see all sides of it and learn a lot there.
Okay, and I presume from your time since you were in Iraq and Afghanistan, you were in the military then.
I worked in the military for...
Tell me about that.
It was...
working with them or in the military?
A little of both.
Okay.
But I had the opportunities, I tell people all the time, I had the opportunity to see the best and the worst that people can do to each other. And I was, from the time I grew up, my family were very much into community service. So
that's good.
13, 14 years old, I was a volunteer on a junior rescue squad. I was not one of the people that could respond, but I would do the training, and I would help with fundraisers and all that kind of stuff. And when I got old enough, I became a firefighter, and that was my job. I was a firefighter. Did 27 years total as a firefighter.
Well, thank you for your service, brother.
Yes, sir.
Being a Vietnam vet, I appreciate anybody that spends time working in the service or with the service, either one. That's quite a life, and thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I got to see parts of the world I would have never had the opportunity to see. I remember one time I was talking with a friend of mine. He was from Texas. We were sitting out in the middle of the desert, and he just looked up at me. He said, "Do you realize we're 6,000 miles from a barbecue joint?" I hadn't thought about it like that, but yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, that's quite a different way to never thought of it that way either.
Yeah. But it also, being over there, it allowed me to expand my musical listening.
Yeah, how's that?
Well, you didn't have a whole lot else to do over there, and there wasn't much that you could buy or sell. So we would actually trade music. This is back in the days when everybody had a hard drive, and you'd go see somebody, and he'd be playing something. Let me get that. So you copy it over. And at one point in time, I had a terabyte.
Oh, wow.
Of music.
Yep.
And I put up my playlist one day, and it back in the old days, it had your playlist, and it had how long it would play if you left it running.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was 2 years and 4 months or something like that if I let it play. But I got exposed to a lot of different kinds of music while I was there. And granted, they got exposed to a lot of different kinds of music because a lot of these folks had never heard of beach music. And some of the stuff that I had carried over with me was a lot of beach music stuff because whenever, like I said, when I was in high school, that's when I first got exposed to it with the Embers. And then I just fell in love with it, especially the old doo-wop, harkening back to that
Love
harmony.
The doo-wops.
And, going forward from there, Dink Perry and the Breeze Band. I love Dink's voice. Big John.
You're answering my next question right now there. A lot of people like you and Bo and a number of those started being with Jim Quick since before they were Coastline crazy, didn't know him. But it makes me wonder, who did you really learn the beach music from? And Dink Perry is a great one. And, of course, the Embers that you learned early.
Yep.
Who else along the way?
Bobby Smith and the Poor Souls.
Oh, God, I hadn't thought of them in a while.
Anything that had that strong baritone, that strong bass, I love. Big John with Man of Oz.
Yeah.
And in fact, I saw Big John a couple weeks ago. Going to see him again this weekend, hopefully.
Oh, we'll see him this weekend. We will.
He is. He's always been very gracious with his time. Everybody has. That's the amazing thing about beach music is
it's a family.
It is. In many ways, it's a family. I've never met a beach music artist of any time that didn't have time to sit down and talk to you or would stop and speak with you. A lot of these bigger artists, they just don't have that time or don't take that time. But I've never met a beach music artist that would walk away if you were trying to have a conversation.
Yeah, very well said.
Very personable people.
Very well put. And I'd never thought of it from that angle, but you're right. Most everybody that we've talked with feels like we're a family.
Yes, sir.
And you're obviously a very important part of this family. When you get noticed at the CBMAs, you're definitely a part of the family, really, and everybody knows it. But how do you think these people all got into a place where beach music is such a family instead of such a diverse people against each other?
Well, I look at it, we all pull for each other. And I mean, I hear people say it live at their concerts. I hear the DJ say it on the radio. It's support beach music, but support each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, that is one of the blessings about having moved down here is, if we're not playing, I'm going to be wherever any other bands are playing just to support them, and the crowd, the fans will come up with, you listen to see what no, I'm here to support them. This is my night off. I'm here to enjoy myself. But if it didn't matter who it was, if it was the Embers or Band of Oz or Gary Loud or whoever, if they needed somebody to help them, I would jump right in there and help them, whether it was running sound, pushing cases, whatever they needed, and they would return the favor. And we, Julio with Oz.
Oh yeah, no, Julio.
Bob Blair, myself.
Yeah.
We talk all the time. We text and call each other, and we have a conversation. And that's always one point that we talk about is, if you need anything, call me. If you get in a bind, give me a call. And we're always there for each other.
Well, you're talking, like I said, with you and Bob, and you're talking about the top guys in the industry. I mean, there's a lot of other good people out there, don't get me wrong. But because of who you work with, because of the level that you have taken the group that you work with, I mean, it's phenomenal that we are fortunate enough to have people like you out here in the beat music world.
Yeah, and people ask me all the time, especially people that hear me singing in the local bars or whatever, and they're like, "Why are you running sound?" It's because my daddy told me a long time ago, a smart man knows what he's good at. A wise man knows what he's not.
Okay.
And I know where my place is.
Say that again now.
A smart man knows what he's good at.
Yeah.
A wise man knows what he's not.
I like that.
And I know where my place is. My place is on the board.
So you're the wise man.
So but we, Steve Davis, Bob Blair, I tell people all the time, they were like, well, how do you feel about your cameo? I said, it's like I said for the first 2 years when I was nominated, to be nominated in the same category with Steve Davis and Bob Blair, and those guys.
It's an honor.
That's an honor for me.
It's an honor.
And to have won it, I had no idea. In fact, it was ironic because I was actually working. We were playing after the industry awards. Coastline was playing that night at the Spanish Galleon.
Oh yeah.
So we set up early so that they could use our gear to do the show. And I had no idea, that I knew I'd been nominated, had no idea I was going to win.
Yeah.
And I'm working the show when they announced the winner.
Oh, wow.
So I handed the iPad. I went up to receive the award, come back and went right back to work. And, but that's, I've always been a believer that
I love that. That's a great way to take a break.
Yeah. And somebody asked me, and he said, has the award changed anything for you? I said, well, I get a few more calls. I said, but I said, Saturday I won the award. Monday morning I went and bought dog food. So nothing really changed a whole lot.
Well, I got to ask something now. Now that you've won the award and you've been out there as long as you have, do you have trouble with people recognizing you?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Because
normally people probably don't recognize me up to this point, but normally once I do this, everybody recognizes me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Tell me this.
To the point that we were playing at Fat Harold's one night, and Albert and I were standing outside, and we were just standing there talking, just like this. And we walked through the club, and we walked in the front door, walked to the back bar, come back around the building. Might have took us 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We both walked to, he went to his car, and I went to the truck, and I got my hat, put my hat on. We walked through. It took us 15 minutes to get through the front part of the bar. When we finally made it outside, Albert looked at me and said, "It ain't us, it's the hats." So this is the way everybody knows me. And I've had people walk in and they'll walk right by me, people that I know.
Yeah.
And they'll walk right by me and they'll come back by and they'll look at me. I didn't know it was you without your hat. And then I also have people that they're used to seeing me like this because I've got the iPad.
Yeah.
And they'll see me and they'll go, I was like, yeah, I know. It feels weird to have my left hand where I can actually do stuff with it. But this is, and it's funny because I walk into a lot of the clubs and people look at the hat and they'll, are we really sure you're in the right place? But I read a book a couple years ago. It's called The Coconut Cowboy. And
I haven't heard of that one.
I think that's kind of my persona now, living down the beach and wearing a cowboy hat and boots all the time.
I'll have to look that one up. The Coconut Cowboy.
Yes, sir.
Well, would you believe our time's up already?
That's amazing.
We go through 30 minutes in no time at all. Any last words of wisdom you'd like to leave to our listeners out there and to all the fans who love you and your work that you do with the Coastline?
Like we were talking about earlier, support each other, support the industry, and support beach music.
Amen. Great words, folks. Now, you can listen to this on Spotify. You can go on YouTube and watch all of our podcasts. You can also go on Roku TV on Beach Music Live channel and see the podcast. And as of a few weeks ago, we can now go on Explore NMB. So you got a lot of ways that you can see these podcasts. I feel so lucky today. Have heard the story of how this man came to be the top man in beach music sound. I knew he was good, but I didn't know how he got there. But it's been awesome. Tim,
Appreciate you.
thank you so much for coming out, brother.
Thank you.
We may end up having to do this again.
We might.
Folks, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you again next week.